Hi everyone, welcome to part 2, the Flappy Game clone. This is an update from my previous videos. Import PyGame, of course, exit. Now we're not going to have all the constants inside the program like we did earlier. We're going to put anything that's common to the entire program in a config file. So you'd want to create a new Python file called config, and then put these constants in there. We are importing all these constants so that we can use them to, for instance, set our height and width. Now notice this has class in front of it. Class is part of object-oriented programming. One of the things it does is we don't have to pass parameters and arguments around. Everything belongs to the object. Let's go to the bottom and see how this works. First thing we do is, from this class, we create an instance or initialize an object called Flappy Bird. Then Flappy Bird starts the infinite game loop, which is right here. Well, it doesn't go right away to this. When we create or initialize an object in Python, the first thing that happens is it runs the init method, which initializes or constructs the object. We initialize PyGame, we set up our surface like we did before, but notice this self business here. Self means that this variable belongs to the entire class. We can access it anywhere. We don't need self on this because we're going to set up the caption and we're done. We are going to use the clock object. So we've created a clock object. We're only going to allow certain events to be captured. That helps optimize the game. We're only going to set that we can capture a quick event and a key down event. I also put load background into its own method. It's the same as it was before. The only difference is I'm storing the background in a self.background variable. Same thing with, oh, look at here, something new, bird. Well, we load the bird in from the image. We convert it to a surface. We get a rectangle. Okay, well, rects or rectangles are used to manipulate the image. It's easier to find the edges and the left and the right and the center and all that with a rectangle. It's very common to do that for image manipulation, game manipulation. Then we're going to move the bird. Notice we're not moving the image, we're moving the rectangle. The bird image follows right along, and we move it to X and Y position that we set earlier. Check for events is in its own method. We're looking through all the events that have been captured. We loop through them all. It's hard to do more than one event per game cycle, but I guess if you press the keyboard really fast, because the game cycles every 60 seconds, 60 times a second. And here's our infinite game loop. Well, finally, after all of this happens, we get to here, and then we can call our check events, see if anybody's typed a key. We set our background, we blit it to the surface, self.background 0, 0. That means that the upper left is going to be 0, 0. That's the upper left of the screen. We use Cartesian coordinates. X goes this way, Y goes down. Once we've got the bird and the background drawn to the surface, now notice this gives an absolute XY where we're going to draw the background. The bird, we draw the bird wherever the rectangle is. This is what we're drawing, This is where we're drawing it. Now we've got them drawn over to the side on the surface. When we update the PyGame display, we will see them on our display, the PyGame display. Well, it's not very exciting yet. Look at there, we got a Flappy Bird just kind of sitting there, looking ahead, wondering what's going on. Well, of course, things are going to start moving at some point, which will be in the future. Thus ends Flappy Bird 2. Stay tuned for further adventures of Flappy Bird.